Hello. So, welcome to the Corporate Makeathon 2019, the first Corporate Makeathon in Malaysia ever. My name is Laban. Just call me Laban, it's fine. Not Mr. Asma, not Mr. Laban, just Laban. We have for today flat hierarchies the next 2 or 3 days, so be open-minded, be creative, and ask a lot of questions. We have some honorable guests here today. We have Petronas here. We have our honorable Vice Chancellor of UTHM here. I think we prepared a lot of just for you guys to have a very, very great event. Maybe just some 2 or 3 words to my person that you know who I am and what Fraunhofer is. My name is Laban. I'm working for the Fraunhofer Institute in Germany. It is the biggest research institute for applied research in Europe. We have over 25,000 employees, all researchers, all over Europe and all over the world. And the special thing on Fraunhofer is that we are getting always problems from the industry and try to solve them with scientific approaches. And this Makeathon reflects at the end exactly this. So we have now this practical problem, or not problem, practical challenge of Petronas, where we want to solve it as students and researchers. So just for that, and my person, I am doing my PhD right now and working for Fraunhofer to consult companies in the case of innovation management. Before I started this, I graduated in Masters in Business Engineering, specialized in Mechanical Engineering, so it's a mixture between business and mechanical, and I founded several startups. So there was one IT startup, some fast food restaurants, some successful, some not that successful, but I think I'm quite competent to be the moderator for today and tomorrow. And yeah, this is just some introductory words, and I would like to give the microphone now to our Honorable Professor Datuk T.S. Dr. Wahid Razali, the Vice Chancellor of UTHM, to give some warm words and some motivating words for our students for the next 2 days. So please applause for Professor.
Thank you very much, Laban. The person whom I know, as far as I'm concerned, with the exception of the ambassador, is the most important in making sure that these innovation labs in here today become a reality. So thank you very much for coming again to UTHM this time around. So I would like to welcome our honorable guests, Dr. Ingenieur Sebastian von Esberg, of course, Mr. Laban yourself, and Mr. Fabio from Fraunhofer Institute of Mechatronic System in Germany, and also the Dean of Mechanical Engineering, and also the Dean for Electrical, yes, and also our important, guest from Petronas, whom I know has been working hard and working truly well with us, especially those in Pengerang. And of course, our other guests and the teams from these labs. And the most important is to our budding engineers from various universities in Malaysia. So I would like to warm welcome to UTHM Innovation Lab. When Laban told me that my role is as a visionary, well, I guess that they are a better visionary, and those people in the industries, they are equally visionary in a way. So, but I guess that visionary is something that can be nurtured. Visionary, then we would like to have our young engineers here to be visionary, at least within the limit of your role as engineer in the society. So what we expect is that remember that something exploded in the early 70s, something like that, in the airspace. And partly the scientist was, in the dark. What was particularly the reason behind it? And it happens that it's just because of the O-ring problem. So this is in particular how important is the job of engineer, how important is the job of looking into the future, what could be the problem next. So with us today, we have more than, I think, about 6 universities competing for ideation, competing for future problem solving, competing for the best mind that we can have. And in here, at Fraunhofer IEM and Fraunhofer Innovation Labs in Malaysia. And I must thank that, Mr. Laban and also the team from Perbon for engaging with UTHM. And I've just talked with Kluang Chinese Chambers of Kluang, and that they are very interested in, discussing with the center because they have little problems here and there in terms of processes within the industries. But the issue in the industries might not be as complicated or as, problematic as what we have in Petronas, because they are in the either semi, SMI or enterprise, so which means that perhaps it could be easily clicked by our young engineers here. And therefore, I would like to welcome young engineers come over to the center and make sure that you and your brain and your collaboration between one another, I think that will make a good recipe for solving any problems that we may have in the industry today. So, ladies and gentlemen, my only hope is that with the slogan that we have with Fraunhofer IM, that slogan is application-oriented research. I think this is where Fraunhofer is, or is the biggest, what we call 30%, if I'm not mistaken, funded by the government and 70% by the industries. And to me, I visited a few of these Fraunhofer institutes, and they are the great or the greatest, I think, what we call applied research institutes that support why BMW is still rolling in Malaysia, why I drive Mercedes, and why, you see, some of the best manufacturer of Airbus is located in, partly in Germany. And I know too that Malaysia is trying to have some understanding of what could be the best, training for an engineer. And therefore, today I must inform you that UTHM and also Malaysian Technical Universities in Malaysia is working closely with the Malaysian-German Chambers of Commerce and also getting some inputs with respect of how to train technologies in this respect in Malaysia. So we have come up with a 10 program being advised by the German chambers, and we hope that these programs will get through, and 6 of the programs are offered in UTHM. And of course, being a new program, it needs still a lot of exploration, a lot of branding, and with that, I must thank the Malaysian-German Chambers of Commerce for willing to work together with Malaysian Technical University Network, that is MTON, to come up what could be the best. And it was intended to be very closely driven by the industries. And in that sense, I would like if those programs could have at least 1 or 2 modules inserted into the programs carried out in these labs. That is making sure that the future engineers, as what you are going to be the best that Malaysia could offer. Of course, now we are still behind German in many sense, but with the hand-holding that we have, I hope that in no time, I mean in no time doesn't mean it's 5 years or 10 years, might be 100 years or might be 20 years, that we would be on par or at least a few steps behind German technology. So I hope that we are too old to see that, to make sure that things getting through. So I hope that the person in front of me, you see, the young engineers could make sure that you are the future of Malaysia, and therefore please make sure that get ready for this challenge. And today, I welcome you very much here to make sure that this corporate Makeathon that is organized basically by Fraunhofer IM, Petronas, and also Magic, making sure that you have your dreams, and your dreams becomes truly dreams that will move into some reality later on. And please do not go away from being an innovator. Do not go away, because the basics, innovation is by questioning. That is the basis of innovation. That's what I learned. So therefore, do not stop from questioning why and how and more question. And we hope that being young engineers, these are the starting point. And I hope that being Malaysian or being Asian, you are well known, or we are well known for shyness, not asking questions, even though that you have problems sometimes. So we hope that this culture will be done away in these labs, and I hope that with your participation here, that you will make your life much happier today, tomorrow, and the future as young engineers for Malaysia. Thank you very much to Fraunhofer IM. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Yeah. So, how was the arrival yesterday? Everything fine? Louder? Okay, yeah, you need to wake up. That's very important. You need, open your brain, open your tongue. That's important. So that's why I will question a lot the next 10, 20 minutes, okay? And you have to play with me. So yeah, we have today the Corporate Makeathon together with Petronas, with Magic, with a lot of other supporters, UTHM of course also. And the question today that we were facing is how to revolutionize the instrument maintenance process of Petronas. What we mean with that in detail, we will go through that in these presentations, and it will be very clear what kind of processes we are focusing, what kind of devices we are looking at, what kind of persons we are looking at to improve the overall process maybe of Petronas. So we have 12 teams. We have one challenge. At the end, just one team will be the winning team and will get the award that you can see here. And you will have the honor to get the award from the MASSEC minister at the end, at the Pitchipter, at the very, very big stage where your team will be. You have to pitch it in front of thousands of people. So it will be quite tough, but I think we will make it with the people that I met yesterday. You need to be more open-minded, and then we will do that. So don't worry. It will be very, very great the next 3 days. So yeah, I want to start with this term Makeathon. So a lot of people use this word Makeathon. There are some other words, hackathons, which is coming more from the IT. There's in Malaysia also this term Rekathon, which Reka means make, and it's all the same. So all means somehow the same. So do you know why is everybody doing this? So why are companies conducting Makeathons? Why are the government is conducting Makeathons? Who knows that? Huh? Find a solution? Huh? Get an idea? What else? Okay. Yeah, all right, yeah. Sorry? Yeah, also very good, very good. So all is right. So the main reason is actually to find this guy. It's called a unicorn. So the exploration for promising innovations. That means ideas that can change whole processes, that can really affect and create high value. So the Makeathons is an environment, is a format where these ideas can come up, because we try to do our best that you feel so comfortable to be creative and at the end come with really good ideas that can be implemented also in real life. So we are focusing, and it's not a theoretical case here, it's a real case that we are focusing, and we're trying to search this kind of unicorns. And to make it a little bit more clear, a unicorn that everybody of you knows from Malaysia is Grab. So why is Grab at the end a unicorn? Who knows that? Huh? Okay. Well, okay. Yeah, at the end, let's face first of all the traditional process of finding transportation. So how was it before the time of Uber? Before the time of Uber, someone had to search for a local taxi number. For me as a tourist, it's like unlikely to find a taxi number in Malaysia without asking people, so that is also quite tough just for me. Waiting for the taxi, you have to wait. After you are searching maybe for a taxi, and then you're paying an intransparent price. And especially for me as a tourist, if I come to the airport and I go into a taxi, I know this taxi driver will fool me, wherever I am in the world. Even if I'm in America, if I'm China, if I'm Malaysia, wherever I am, I go into a taxi, I say, yeah, I drive you there, and they're like driving some like 100 kilometers around my goal, and I don't have an idea and pay a high price. So a lot of challenges. So what did Grab do? Grab innovated this process, and this is what we are also focusing today and tomorrow. We want to innovate the maintenance process. So we are not looking really into products that will be commercialized at the end. We are looking into processes that we want to revolutionize. So now with Grab, you're searching a car in an app. You're waiting and see the car via GPS. You pay a fixed price that you know before. So me as a tourist, if I'm landing in the airport, I know exactly how much do I pay to getting to the goal that I want to. What is the value that is created to all the customers? So it is faster, it is full transparency, more cars for the people out there. So a lot of value was created through a disruptive unicorn which came up, and this is why Grab actually was so successful. Yeah, looking into now, so we saw Grab, so what do we want to do now? So we have this traditional process of instrument maintenance in Petronas. We have the details of the process also putting into the process and delivering it to you, so you're aware of this traditional process. And we want to do this process innovation, to think what is the Grab for instrument maintenance. Of course not the Grab to be a product, but this unicorn idea to change a lot, to create a high value within this maintenance process of Petronas. So I think it's quite clear now why companies, governments are doing this Makeathon. So now the question is, why are you as a student so important for this Makeathon? Any idea? Come on, no. Why? Mm-hmm. Now, this is your value, but what is the value of Petronas to include you as a student? What is the value? Now, that's also the value for you, but trust me, you are also generating a value for Petronas. What is the value? You don't know what's your value for Petronas. Future workers, yeah? Fresh thoughts, high creativity, and out-of-the-box view. So if you see a big company, the people who are working there, who are inside the project work, they have no the time to think about new ideas, to think out of the box. They have this view of this company and they are going straight. So you as a young, fresh mind, you have other experience, you got this new digitized world, you are this generation Y, so you are asking a lot. You have this out-of-the-box view which can help Petronas to get an idea about how to innovate their processes. And trust me, I moderated a lot of Makeathons, and the companies at the end were always surprised how this young, fresh minds can come up with such great ideas. And this is what I want also for you, create this value for Petronas. Of course, Petronas is creating a value for you by delivering you this practical challenge. But at the end, you are delivering them a lot of good ideas, and a good idea is a lot of worth. So know your worth and don't be shy to express this worth that you have. So this could be probably you the next 2 days, so hard working. Of course, it's not that easy to get a good idea, to build up maybe some prototypes and to present it in front of thousands of people. This is quite tough, but yeah, you could look like this cat. And probably tomorrow you will look like today, or tomorrow evening like that guy, just falling down. Okay, I just worked too much. But I know this feeling, if you fall down, that it's a good sleep. It's a good sleep. You wake up and think, okay, I have done a lot of good things yesterday. Yeah, and it's worth it. So you got a prize for it. There's 5,000 ringgit that you get. It's definitely worth it to work very, very hard to get at the end this prize for your team. So yeah, maybe you can look like this guy at the end. So yeah, coming to why is it important, such kind of Makeathons, to why are these unicorns so important for companies? Of course, you can say, yeah, great idea is always good, but why is this innovation so important for companies? So I want to explain that on a quote of Dieter Zetsche. It's the former CEO of Mercedes-Benz. He was like more than 10 or 15 years the CEO of Mercedes-Benz, and he said some words. He said, although not every innovation guarantees immediate success, missing innovations guarantee failure. So there are two main messages within this sentence. The first message, I want to play a game with you. So although not every innovation guarantees immediate success, just concentrate on the first thing, okay? I will show you now innovations which were launched into a market, and you have to guess if it was a fail or if it was a unicorn. Okay? And I will explain later why it failed or why it was a unicorn. Understood? Okay. So this is the Apple Newton. It was an organizer invented by Apple in 1993. So it looks like a little bit like the iPhone. What do you think? Was it a fail or was it a unicorn? Solare? Fail? Fail. Louder. Okay. Yeah, it was a fail. So the problem with that innovation which were launched is the lack of technical maturity. So the idea was good behind that. So to have something like organizing a device in your hand to organize your life. The problem is it was too slowly, the display was not good enough, the touch thing didn't work, you had to have a pen. And I know a quote of Steve Jobs because he wasn't the CEO at this moment of Apple. And when he entered Apple again, he was asked, what do you think why this organizer, why this Apple Newton failed? And he just said, people want to use their finger, not a pen for putting on this device. So that was his idea why this device failed. So then there was something like a second release of the Apple Newton. It was the Apple II. It was released in 2007. And what do you think? Was it fail or was it a unicorn? Yeah, of course, of course. So this smartphone, it was 2007 actually, the milestone which changed the whole consumer business, because within these devices, we were able to use something like Grab. It was the technology basis to have now these digitized solutions all in your pocket, which makes your life easier. So that was the main, it was very intuitive. The people were it was very easy to use for them. So that was one reason why it was such a big success. And it was, as I said, the fundament for this digitized revolution which is coming up now, and people can create great ideas based on this kind of technologies. So the next thing, it's my favorite. It is 1989. Who knows this guy? Okay, so I think everybody knows. It's Donald Trump. It's the current president of America. And he was a business guy before he became a president. And within his business mind, he was thinking, okay, let's invent a game which is based on some, like to buy houses, to sell houses, a little bit like Monopoly, but more complicated. It was more about making deals and so on. It was called Trump the Game. And I really like the quote that they are here showing. It's not whether you win or lose, but whether you win. Like what? So what do you think? Was it a fail or was it a unicorn? So 50-50, maybe raise your hand. Fail? Who say fail? Okay, who say unicorn? Okay, yeah, 50-50. Actually, it was fail. There was a lack of acceptance. The problem with that game was that nobody understood the rules. So it was so complicated. There were so many special rules that if you started to play this, you were thinking like, this is not a game. It doesn't make any fun. So yeah, that was the reason why it actually failed. So it became very clear in the media, it was very public in the media that this game was not really a game. So we know Donald Trump, and he tried it a second time. So he came up with the second release on 2004, which was called Trump the Game. And the quote, I love it. It's just, I'm back and you're fired. Like, what do you think? Was that a fail or was it a unicorn? Okay, so fail is now, yeah, fail. They tried to make it easier, but actually I read some comments about this game, and this game was even more complicated, so they didn't even learn anything about. So, yeah. Okay, now he's the president of America. How about this thing? I explain what it is. It is a mask for giving massage for the face. It's called Rejuvenique. It was invented in 1999. So what do you think? Yeah, of course. I mean, imagine you're a child and you're coming into the living room, your mother or your father is wearing this, you're thinking, okay, am I now in a horror movie or am I dreaming? What is this? Like, it's also lack of acceptance because, yeah, it just looked like a horror movie. So that was the game, and now I will come to the second quote. Missing innovations guarantee failure for companies. And I want to express that with one very, very, very clear example in the past. And I don't know how old are you, but probably all of you know this company from the past. It's Nokia. So I just want to show what I mean with that. So who in the past had a Nokia phone? Who have now a Nokia phone? Really? No way. No way. Okay. So Nokia, what was Nokia's problem actually? They failed a lot. The company was nearly bankrupt. So what was the problem? The problem was the missing innovation that they had. If you see, I researched it and get it out for you, what they released on 2007 when Apple released the iPhone. So their innovations were making a smartphone in gold. I don't think that is an innovation. So you can see how this thinking of just doing incremental innovations wasn't enough for a company of Nokia, just improving the things that we are doing. So they didn't think about to just think this business completely new, to get a new view and maybe change the whole technology that they are using to deliver the value of a phone or later of a smartphone. They just missed it. Steve Jobs got the idea and he was very, very aware of it, that this will work, and then he disrupted this whole mobile phone market, and yeah, Nokia was one of the guys, or one of these companies who failed. So all in all, that means finding successful innovations is extremely important. I think we expressed that clearly out. A Makeathon is a format which makes this possible. Why? Yeah, because you're leaving the comfort zone here in the next 3 days, so you have to think about things that you never thought maybe before. And this is why this format is something like a catalyst for this all. Creative working environment, we really try to do the best that you feel comfortable. We order some lunch from KFC, from McD, like food that young people like. We ordered some Coca-Cola, we have coffee, we have water, we have Fanta, we have everything for you that you feel comfortable. We prepared a lot of helping sheets, Post-its, everything for you guys, just for you to work and to be creative. Out of the box thinking, as I expressed, you're for young, fresh minds, and use this young, fresh minds. Don't think that older people have more knowledge, know more about the life. That's not true. That's definitely not true. You have the view that the older generation probably cannot get into because you raised up with all this new technology. For you to use a smartphone is regular, like like going for lunch. For people who are maybe in the older generation, it is not that common, or they had to learn it. So you have a very, very, very big value for this kind of events. Yeah, fast ideation and creation. So this is our part. We try really to push you, that you ideate good ideas, that you create good ideas, and please come just to us, ask us whatever. As I said yesterday to each group, there is no stupid question. So even the stupidest question is better than no question. So just ask, talk to each other, don't be shy. Even if there is a Petronas expert, I know how it feels if someone from the industry is in front of you, you always feel like a bit, oh, I don't want to say anything wrong. For the next 2 or 3 days, there is nothing. There is nothing to say wrong. Even the wrongest words is better than nothing, okay? Have that in mind. Yeah. And of course, you are at the end the enabler of all this. So without you, we couldn't do that. So we need you, and please be aware of this value that you create. Yeah, we will have, as I said, just some teasers. Teaser. We have the final pitch on Sunday, and there were about 1,000 spectators in the audience, included the mass technician, and you are working on a real challenge. And be like Steve Jobs, okay? For the next 2 or 3 days, just be like Steve Jobs. Don't think that you are now this person, that you think you're Steve Jobs and you have the ideas and you can't push them. Just do it. Yeah, as I said, how to revolutionize, this is the challenge for today, how to revolutionize the instrument maintenance process of Petronas. And what that exactly means, the Petronas experts will explain within some minutes. And what I want to also express, it is not important if your solution at the end will be a software, if your solution at the end will be a hardware, if your solution will be at the end maybe something with data analytics, if your solution is maybe something to change just the process, how people work. It doesn't matter what kind of solution you will create, the more important is that you create a value, okay? Yeah, and this is from my side. Thank you very much, and I would hand over now to Petronas for the challenge announcement.
Okay, Assalamualaikum and a very good morning to all. Okay, before I start, let me introduce myself. My name is Faisal. I've been working with Petronas for about 23. I've been with Petronas selama 23 tahun. So together with me, I have 3 of my colleagues, Encik Khairi, Encik Azril, and also Encik Suzaidi. So we are all instrumentation and control engineers. So what is instrumentation and control? I understand semalam you guys ada pergi visit apa tu your UTHM punya pilot plant. A pilot plant is like a small plant where all the actual instrumentation control is there. So imagine that plant. I actually haven't seen the plant yet. Oh, dah start dah ke? I belum ni. Why is it moving? Is it? Okay. It's okay. So imagine that plant, tetapi with the amount of instrumentation, maybe 300,000 or 400,000 more. So that's the scenario that we as Petronas engineers are looking at. Even in the plant that kita kerja, we are looking at about 300 to 400,000 instrumentation. So in the process industry, instrumentation, we are known as instrumentation and control engineers. But in the manufacturing or in the general industry, we are also known as automation engineers. So sometimes it is macam mix lah. You can use automation, you can use INC. Benda ni basically sama je lah. The uniqueness of INC people is that you guys need to know instrumentation, electrical, you guys need to know mechanical, you guys need to know process control, and lately, in the last 5 or 10 years, you guys also need to know IT technologies. So kalau you tengok dalam innovation lab we actually buat satu slide, satu presentation video. There was actually a video. So in that video, you nampak our technicians going around with calibrators, field calibrators, with checklists and things like that. So that is actually the scenario in most of Petronas plants. So maybe 10 years ago, that is the in thing. So we have smart field devices. 50 years ago, kita pakai pneumatic. So when you use pneumatic, you are not getting a lot of data from your field instrumentation. So basically, benda field instrumentation tu is dumb lah. Dia tak ada. So you need a lot of maintenance. You need to go to the devices more often. And then we innovated, the industry innovated, and we were going to analog instrumentation. And then 20 years back, it became digital instrumentation. So with digital, the devices become more smart. They can actually tell you what's wrong with them. It's innovation, and we also have wireless and things like that. But that is perhaps okay 10 years ago, 20 years ago. But now, things are changing. So we need to also evolve with the time. Okay, a little bit about Petronas. So basically, we celebrated 45 years this year. So we started in 1974. So we are in operation in about more than 30 countries worldwide. We have a workforce of about 51,000 people. This one? Okay. So we are a Fortune 500 company. As of last year, we are at about number 158. So generally, our core business is oil and gas, petrochemicals, but we are also generally involved in a lot of other things as well. Innovation is one of our key business as well. So these are all standards. Over here in Johor, so we are building a very big refinery and petrochemical plant. We also have a power plant there and associated facilities. So it's a 27 billion USD investment for Petronas, and it's actually one of Petronas' biggest integrated site. In Petronas, generally, as in other oil and gas, we have the upstream division and we also have the downstream division. So upstream is generally the process of extracting our crude, our gas, and delivering it to the downstream units, which actually processes to upgrade the value of our products. Actually, okay. So you can see here, these are some of our portfolio. We have LNGs, we have ships and things like that. So let me go further. Downstream, retail, we have also retail. Retail is basically the fuel that you get from our petrol stations. These are some of the new projects that we are doing. So the Pengerang Integrated Complex is where I'm currently based. So this PIC, we have actually started production. We have produced on-spec product now. These are some of the other facilities that we have. I would like to show a short video on our plant in Pengerang. So this video, I hope that you can have a sense of what Petronas is. Please enjoy the video.
Also? Yeah. Look, we will watch the video now, but you will have after that the possibility to watch it again. So we will display it on the smart TV after it, so every team has after that the possibility to watch this video again. So don't worry. Yeah. Just make play. Okay.
Okay, so you can, from the video, you can imagine the size of the site. So over there, we actually have about, only about 400 strong people from engineers and technicians for instrumentation and control. So all these 400, you can see all those columns, on top of the columns, on top of the vessels, you actually have a lot of free instrumentation there. You can also see the control room where we actually operate the whole plant, the whole complex. So it's actually the magnitude of job that an instrumentation and control technician or engineer has to do is actually quite large, and the conventional way of doing it may not be, for me, it's actually you cannot operate or maintain the free instrumentation the conventional way. The conventional way, which I mean is roughly what you see in the corporate video that is on the website that we've given the organizers. So basically, that's a challenge. How do we actually revolutionize the instrumentation maintenance process of Petronas? So I hope during this 3-day workshop, we'll be able to brainstorm, discuss, come up with new ways, new ideas on how we can actually make my instrumentation and control team work much easier, much faster, and also being able to maintain the integrity of the plant. One of the responsibility of the instrumentation and control team is actually looking at the plant control and safeguarding. So that is actually the responsibility and the accountability of the INC engineers. So whenever the plant needs to trip, it has to trip. If the plant doesn't trip, the demand is there, then it will lead to some consequences. Most of the consequences will be very highly unlikely. So that is part of the INC engineer's scope. He has to ensure that the system is 100% available. He has to ensure that the sensors, the transmitters are always reading correctly, always available, and things like that. So basically, my team has prepared a few things that that is basically how the conventional way of instrumentation and control maintenance is. So basically, the flow chart, you can ask me in more detail later, or my team in detail later. The flow chart is basically one has to create notification or identify the fault first. So it's actually a manual process. We have preventive maintenance, we have breakdown maintenance. So once the work is identified, then it goes into the system, which is to create a maintenance order. And then the planning group will determine the material and manpower, and they later schedule the job. The work execution gets to be done by the engineers or the technicians, and later reporting and close out. So basically, the engineers and the technician has to do reporting, has to identify what are the root cause of the problem, and also some of the recommendations that they have to address the problem. So these are basically the enablers, the tools that we have. We have generally the field calibrator, which is the middle one. So these are the devices that the engineers and the technicians go to the transmitters, to the valves, to diagnose the fault. So what is wrong with the equipment. Okay, we also like to throw in some ideas on what we think is the way of doing things differently. So, as you are aware, instrumentation and control, basically, we are the eyes of the plant. So when the process engineers or the panel operators need to control the pressure, the level, the flow of a particular process, they rely on our instrumentation, our sensors, and also our final elements. But who actually monitors our sensors and our final elements? So the system may not be there yet. So that's why we are throwing the idea of integrating database, because we have a lot of subsystems where we have the PRM system, we have the CPMS. So all these systems basically tells the health of the feed devices, of the control valves, of the ASD valves. Some Petronas plants may already have this. Some, they are relying on manually going to the field itself to collect the data. So for a small plant, it may be okay, but if you have a big plant, I doubt that you'll be able to go and see all your field devices. The other item that we want to look into is predictive maintenance. We actually do not, we want to move away. 40 years ago, it's breakdown maintenance. Whenever there's a failure, you go and rectify it. Then perhaps about 20 years back, the in thing is to do preventive maintenance, which is schedule-based. But now future, with the devices becoming more smart, so we want to do predictive maintenance. Before predictive, it was condition-based. Now you can do predictive maintenance. You can do more with data analytics. You can actually get equipment performance from other plants, and you can determine whether how the equipment is going to fail. So that is future. We can also look into this because generally we do not want to touch something which is not broken. So apart from some of the regulatory requirement, some of the equipment we have is regulated by law. So this equipment, then we have to strictly follow the law. But we are also challenging the law, basically, with some of these law or legislations. They were drafted perhaps 20 years ago, 30 years ago. So things have changed, so we are also engaging with local legislation so that we can propose something better. Now we also have wireless. So wireless transmitter opens up a lot of possibilities. We do not need to be tied to wire. So we can actually go to more places to get measurements and things like that. We also want to look into how to make the DCS more mobile. Right now, if you look, the Panaman has the overall view of the process plant from the control room. Maybe we want to look into the field operator having the same view. So all this is something that we want to look into. The other item is obsolescence management. So you know that instrumentation technology evolves very fast. Some of the items that we buy 10 years ago may not be supported by our vendors anymore. So this is also an issue, a challenge that we are facing. We are also looking at a better way of measurement, better ways of measuring flow, level, pressure, temperature. We also want to do away with some of the current measurement technologies like nuclear instrumentation, nuclear gauging, because these items inherently provide a health risk to our workers. So we are looking into a lot of other things similar to this. So with that, basically, I end my presentation. To summarize, generally for instrumentation and control, we have the coverage of our maintenance is actually very vast, from the field instrumentation to the system to the final element. We need to be covering a large area as well. So these are the main challenges, and we need to look at better ways, better technology to ease our maintenance processes, but at the end of the day, we need to ensure integrity of the system. So that is the utmost importance, because instrumentation and control, we are actually, if you look at the onion model, so there are layers of protection, and instrumentation and control contributes to 2 of these layers. So failure of these 2 layers can lead to consequences. So with that, I will end my short presentation. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for the great introduction into Petronas and into the challenges of the maintenance process. I think you got now a lot of potentials to concentrate on. Of course, you cannot face every challenge which is there, so maybe you should be focused, get one of it and get into the deep. Which one it is, I think it will be clear if you go through the phases. So we will have some phases where you identify potential, where you then see some solution for this potential. You have to pitch it in front of Petronas, you get feedback. But the most important thing is that my experience of how the best ideas were always created were in the conversation with the experts. So go into the talk with the Petronas experts and talk to them, ask them about that potential. How about this? How about this? How could be this? If we would change this, what would happen? Ask, talk, and the ideas will just come up. So we want to do a short break for some tea, some little bit come down, and then we will start with the team warm-up. But first of all, before we all go out, we would like to do a group photo together with the Vice Chancellor. So I would like you to just stand up, come into the front, and then we will make a group picture. Then some minutes, I would say 15 minutes. Yeah, 15 minutes break, and then we will go through the procedure. So how do we go through today, and how go we through to tomorrow, and what to do? Okay?